Hello, you're listening to episode 6 of 8 Minute Movies, Knives 8, a podcast talking about the 2019 movie Knives Out in 8-minute chunks, presented by me, Kieran, and him, Peter. This is a sequential podcast that contains spoilers for Knives Out, so you should watch it first before listening, and start the podcast with episode 1. So I did that one a bit more sedately for you, Peter, because you were frightened and concerned by my intensity during the last one.
I think I need you somewhere in between those two, because that I would say was subdued.
You don't. So I wasn't bringing enough energy.
Yeah, I think that's the tone that you go with if you're about to start the podcast with the, I don't know, announcement of the death of your cat or something.
Yeah. Or I'll take your feedback on board and I'll start episode 7 differently.
Yeah, maybe use the normal level of energy, so not the extreme high energy or low energy of the last two, but just go off sideways somewhere. Surprise me.
It's all right.
Surprise me, but don't alarm me like last time.
Hang on, I'm going to make a note of this. So how are you feeling?
I'm feeling okay. I'm watching. I'm consuming new media. So that's something.
Good.
Right. Would you like me to say what new media I'm consuming?
Consuming new media. This is a callback, isn't it?
It is.
I'll link the confusion about consuming as applied to not food.
You use the word "our" so inaccurately.
Fuck you. Oh wow. Under 2 minutes, and I've already told you to fuck off. That's probably a podcast record, TM.
Probably not. Anyway,
go on. What thing are you consuming? What have you got your big mouth around chewing on today?
I am 5 out of 6 episodes into the first season of Only Murders in the Building.
Only Murders in the Building is great, and I definitely told you to watch it last year sometime.
I mean, you might have done,
but
did. There's a very good chance that I wasn't listening.
Why? This is podcast host abuse. Why are you like this?
Yeah, it's possible that you told me, but I feel like I would have remembered if you'd told me that there was a television show with Steve Martin and Martin Short in it. I just feel like that would have stuck in my mind. But
it's got both Martins.
Yeah. Back again for the first time since the Three Amigos. I don't know whether that's true.
Back once again with the ill behavior.
And they are doing a television show where they and there's another character played by Selena Gomez. They're all a little bit obsessed with these true crime podcasts, and also they all, for different reasons, are just trying to recapture some old glory days that they've had. So the Steve Martin character called Charles was known for playing this TV detective called Brazos.
Oh, Brazos, yeah. I watched this like last June, I think. So everything you say is like refreshing my memory.
Yeah. And Martin Short plays a character called Oliver, who was a Broadway director who's a bit down on his luck. And Selena Gomez plays Mabel, who is renovating the place for her aunt, and used to play around as a kid a lot of times in her youth, and sort of play detective-y games in it. And so they're all obsessed with these true crime podcasts, and a Well, what seems like a suicide, but they suspect quite quickly might be a murder, happens in the building that they live in, and they get together and decide to try and start their own true crime podcast by being able to kind of investigate the murder from scratch, basically themselves. And it's about their or at least so far, it's about their kind of ham-fisted attempts to both put together a podcast and investigate this alleged crime.
Yeah. The group of idiots figuring out how to do a podcast together thing struck a chord with me for reasons that I'm not gonna elaborate on.
Yeah, it really resonates, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's something so... Oh, Peter, can we go back and re-record the first season with good mics? Please. I want it to be the best one, but the sound quality's not great.
Well,
no, that ship has sailed.
You can do it if you like, but cast someone else as me.
Oh, don't. I'll look on Cameo. Guest starring Jean-Claude Van Damme as Peter Silk.
Get the surviving Chuckle Brother or whatever.
You can't call him the surviving Chuckle Brother. That's so bleak.
Well, I don't know what his name is.
Barry? No, Paul Chuckle, I think.
I'm pretty sure that's not his real name.
Oh, hang on, I have to Google it now. Yeah, he's the living one. Paul is the living one. The lone survivor. Oh God, what's the word for the last of its like race? It's endling, I think, is the term for the last member of a species.
I don't think that's appropriate here. So I've got one episode to watch left in this series. Is there another series? I'm not even sure.
Not yet. But hopefully there will be soon. It definitely ends on a cliffhanger. I hope that's not spoiling anything for you. That makes me very keen to watch season 2 if and when it arrives.
Yeah, no, it didn't seem like it was the sort of thing that was going to wrap up neatly in one more episode. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's good. It's nice to see like Steve Martin back in a role that isn't just being a sort of vaguely bemused dad, which is a lot of his late 90s output.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed watching it. I really enjoyed the fans of their podcast who are just commenting in a weird meta way about the show that you're watching as well. It's it's really entertaining stuff. And it's like a sort of cozy murder mystery, which is a term I learned recently, so I want to use it.
Okay.
Where, like, you know, it's like a murder mystery show, but there's no real threat, you know.
No, I suppose not. There's stings in it for reasons that I don't really want to go into if you want to watch
it. I was trying not to mention Sting, but Sting is in it, like a whole episode.
Yeah.
I think it hit so deep with me at the time because I went through a 3-month true crime podcast phase that sort of synced up with this.
Oh God, are you one of them?
For a while, I dropped out of it, but I was
a map.
I was listening to Crime Junkie. That's the podcast I was listening to. But it sort of gets a bit samey after a while. I mean, you know, it's just a crime happened, and maybe that crime could be solved by you, the listener. It probably can't. It probably, like, you know, they're dead. They're under a patio, and it's going to go and dig the patio up.
Yeah,
you know?
I feel like I cannot solve a crime that people whose job it is to solve the crime couldn't solve, probably.
Well, yeah, but that's what they comment on in the show, isn't it? That, you know, the police only have time to, like, look at a murder for a little while, then they have to go off and look at all the other murders that are happening. So, you know,
It's true.
If you and your podcast friends dwell on it for 6 months and drag it out, maybe you'll solve the crime. You probably won't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily endorsing the police here and the job they do, but nevertheless, I reckon they've got more experience at crime solving than me.
Yeah,
on average.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. Peter, what does the name mean? Only murders in the building?
It's from the first episode, isn't it? Because they have a little discussion and they they wonder whether they might branch out to other murders in the local area because someone gets killed in like Central Park or something like that. And then I think Steve Martin's character says something like, "No, we've got to keep it focused. Only murders in the building."
I probably got that at the time, but forgot in the intervening months. Listeners, I had a very bad headache earlier today, so so we're not bringing our A game to this podcast.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the B-level podcasts.
Yeah,
if you're looking for only our top material, then you might just want to skip this one. I don't know.
You can't keep telling people to skip the episodes. The sponsors don't like it when people skip the episodes.
So, what about you? Have you been up to anything fun apart from having a bad migraine?
Yeah, I had a real bad headache, and it came on very suddenly while I was halfway through cooking a barbecue, which it's not the worst time to suddenly have to go and lie down, but like, I mean, you know, the other times are like while you're driving a Formula One car or piloting a jet or something.
Yeah.
I looked down at the fire and I was like, "Fire, you're going to have to sort this out on your own. Just try not to burn anything I consider important." And I went back inside. I know I put the fire out, but nevertheless, I was going to talk about something that we might have talked about in the last season of the podcast, but I couldn't be bothered listening to our tedious rambling to find out if that was true or not.
All right. Well,
the sponsors don't like it when I call it tedious rambling either. When I listened to our enlightened debate.
Well, look, tell me what it is, and I will see whether my brain felt it important enough to remember from last season.
Yeah, but you don't even remember my name. I have to introduce myself to you at the start of every episode.
No, you just do the intro. I know your name, Steve.
Don't call me Steve.
Oh, sorry, I was still thinking about Steve Martin.
Yeah, Steve Martin and Martin Short. Like, I feel like, you know, you could cancel the Martins out. You know what I mean? Like with a mathematical equation.
It's a shame there's not an actor called Short something. I don't know, like Short Johnny. You could just do a whole string of them.
Oh god, this sounds like a very tedious parlor game that's very easy to lose.
Yes.
All right, I'll start. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Fuck you, Jim. So the thing I wanted to talk about is a board game that I hope you'll remember because we played it. And it's called Alien: Fate of the Nostromo.
I mean, we have talked about board games before, haven't we? But I don't know whether we've talked about this specific one.
Yeah, I don't know if we talked about this specific one. And we've played it a couple of times, and I love it. So it's a co-op board game for 5 players, up to 5 players, I guess. Where you play the crew of the Nostromo, the spaceship from Alien, as you will well remember from our previous season.
I remember that. Yeah.
And the alien is on board the ship, like stalking around, doing naughty stuff. So you're going around the board and you're trying to achieve little goals that will help you to stop the alien and escape the ship, and everything will be fine once again.
Yeah, and we've played this a couple of times, and it's a fine board game.
Yeah, the first time we played it, I don't think we really got a handle on how hard it was because we thought it was a very difficult game. But the game has some rules. Basically, it gets harder as time goes by, which is performed by having a series of cards that tell you, what. Like at the end of every player's go, you draw an event, and that is either a quiet card, meaning nothing really happens, or an alien stalks card, which means the alien moves somewhere and does something, or Special Order 937, where Ash, the naughty android, goes and does something bad somewhere on the ship. And as the play continues, you steadily take the quiet cards out of the deck. So you're more likely as the game goes on to encounter some sort of horrific thing happening.
Right.
But the first time we played it, we messed the rule up, and so we ended up with only a deck of alien cards. So the alien was running around the ship like a cat with zoomies, and just brutal. It was like a brutal onslaught.
Yeah, it was extremely tough, but I think there's an element of that to the game anyway, because basically what you're trying to do in the game is achieve a certain number of objectives before you do a sort of final objective that gets revealed at the end. It's kind of different every time, and a lot of the game is about keeping the alien at bay just enough so that you can make the stars align just right for you to do this very specific task, and just trying not to mess that up.
Yeah, and I really like the game because you can tell that it was made with love rather than being a cheap tie-in, because you've got little like colorful plastic figurines for the crew of the Nostromo. My favorite thing is it's the only board game I've ever played with a jump scare where on the back of the board on one segment, for no reason, they drew Jonesy the cat huge and fierce, and it's the first thing you see when you open the box.
Yeah.
So I opened it, I was like,
It's a nice touch. It really is.
Yeah, the only thing is I think some of the things on the board changed name after the rulebook went to print, because sometimes it's like, put a token in this room, and you're like, what room? Oh, okay, I guess this room.
Slightly differently named room.
Yeah. And there's a couple of errata things, like some prices are wrong in certain places. But if you with trepidation and reluctance go to boardgamegeek.com and look it up there, the guy who actually designed it has added like some extra rules that you can use to change how the game plays, which is nice. The director's cut rules, sort of officially sanctioned house rules.
Yeah, then some of them make the game slightly easier, but only in a kind of gentle way, which doesn't feel too cheaty.
Yeah,
like we were always surprised that because there's a kind of morale meter that ticks down as you play the game, and if you lose all of your morale, then you lose the game. Is one of the things that you're up against, and we were sort of surprised the first time that we played the game that completing a task successfully does nothing to improve your morale. So they've adjusted that in the house rules so that you can have a house rule. So it has a minor effect.
Yeah, and so it takes about an hour to play, and I haven't had a bad time with it so far. I've played it like 3 or 4 times, and it's always been good fun. More useful if you remember all the rules.
And all of the characters have their own special ability, and my favorite one is what's he called? What's the one that
you did a podcast about this, Peter.
I know, but then I finished the podcast and discarded all names.
Dallas?
No.
Captain Dallas?
No.
Parker? Brett?
Maybe Parker? Is it Parker? It might be Parker.
Parker the engineer?
Yeah.
Are you thinking of the ability to spontaneously generate scrap?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it's Parker, yeah.
So Parker can once per turn just generate scrap out of nowhere, which I think it just means that he's resourceful at finding scrap in the area more so than other people. But I just imagining him just really kind of clenching and just having it emerge from within himself.
That's a mental image that I really didn't want. Thank you. I mean, I assumed that he was just like wandering around with a welding torch, just like sawing bits of the ship off and being like scrap. And they're like, Parker, don't we need that to live?
Probably not.
But yeah, it's real good fun. I think it's about £20, which is well worth it. Yeah, there's an expanded set of rules as well, which you can use if you buy 2 copies of the game, which I have so far resisted the temptation to do, but I can't promise I will continue to do in future.
And it's from Ravensburger, who you might remember from Jigsaw puzzles, I guess.
Oh God, yeah. I've definitely seen that name written down somewhere, and never thought about it. Oh, and now we can't get them to sponsor us. Darn. Sorry, your name means nothing to me.
Ravensburger. They vaguely ring a bell.
Yeah, you've definitely seen this written on a box somewhere, kids. Probably in that pile of boxes in your grandmother's house on those games she wants you to play, which aren't Switch games, which aren't Splatoon 2.
Okay, shall we trudge joylessly towards the end of this?
No, I'm calling a podcast emergency meeting. Right. We have to start bringing our A game to this episode because so far it's been dreck. It's dire. It's hot, wet garbage, Peter, and it's mostly your fault. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna shortchange you. That's the truth. You are the millstone around my neck. So, buck up your ideas, or I will edit in your reactions from another episode, as has been proven that I do. One episode I should just cut in all your responses from one of the episodes about the thing and see if anyone noticed. Okay. Yeah. So this is a podcast. This is the why am I so bad at this? This is a podcast, listeners, where we have taken a film called Knives Out and we've cut it into little 8-minute chunks, which is scientifically decided to be the best length of movie in which to enjoy. And we watch it and then we talk about it and then play continues.
It's .com.
It's .com. Oh, that's about 25 years old, that reference. Also, we have some bells. Peter, will you ding your bell?
Dinging.
Once again, I am in a position where I have no bell, which is bad, but but I should I need to ding, I will try my hardest. Yeah, the bells are for if we say any of the words that are on our kill phrase list, like Laputan woman and what's the other guy's one?
I think you might have conflated the two, actually. Maybe.
Oh God. Hang on. I'm gonna look them up.
It's Flatlander woman, isn't it?
Oh yeah, Flatlander woman, Laputan machine. I think. Yeah. Well, that was a deep cut to a 22-year-old video game.
Yes, people have no idea what we're talking about. Sorry about that.
If you were playing the video game Deus Ex, those are some things from that. I hope you're having a lovely afternoon, listener.
Anyway, to get to the point, we're ringing the bell. If either of us say the word out or thing for historical reasons, which by now you should be aware.
Yeah. And if we say either of those, the dinging occurs and points are deducted from us via orbital railgun strike.
My favorite, and because we're talking about the context of the game here, you can't ding me for this, is when you said thing and I dinged you, and then you said get out. That was a really good one. I was very pleased with that.
I did it on purpose. So, would you like to talk about Not the Thing?
Yes.
In this section of the podcast that's called Let's Not Talk About the Thing?
Let's do it.
Who do you think I'm talking about this week? Who would you like to hear? Don't know why I'm giving you a choice. You have no choice. Make your time.
All right. I would like you to talk about who have we got left? Let's say Jamie Lee Curtis.
Chris Evans as Ransom Drysdale. That's right. Yes. That's who we're talking about today. Christopher Robert Evans, born June 13, 1981, is an American actor who began his career with roles in television series such as Opposite Sex in the year 2000. Following appearances in several teen films, including 2001's Not Another Teen Movie, he gained attention for his portrayal of Marvel Comics character The Human Torch in 2005's Fantastic Four, and its sequel, Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. You seen that? You seen it? You seen the Fantastic Four movies from the early 2000s?
I think I saw the first one at some point.
They're not good.
Yeah, it wasn't particularly memorable.
He made further appearances in film adaptations of comic books and graphic novels such as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 2007, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, 2010, and Snowpiercer, 2013. You went, oh, that's Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
I just remembered him being in it as you mentioned it. Yeah.
Yeah, he plays Lucas Lee, one of Ramona's exes that Scott has to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Defeat, I think.
Defeat, yes. He gained wider recognition for his portrayal of Steve Rogers, Captain America, in several Marvel Cinematic Universe films, namely Captain America: The First Avenger, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Captain America: Civil War, and The Avengers, Avengers: Age of Ultron, Avengers: Infinity War, and Avengers: Endgame. His work on the Marvel series established him as one of the world's highest paid actors. And he's in Knives Out.
He is.
When auditioning for Knives Out, he was so keen to play Ransom that he said he pretty much begged Rian Johnson for the role. He said, I don't even think I let him speak. I think I just kind of babbled the entire time about what I wanted to do with the role and what I thought I could bring, and please cast me, basically. It was just me kind of pitching myself to him, just begging. Which is kind of sweet. I like that he can still go off, like we said, he's one of the highest paid actors in the world, but he can still go after roles, smaller roles, that he just enjoys, which is nice, I guess.
Very cool.
Peter, we have answers to questions that you had.
Do we?
No, that's not this section of the podcast. What this section of the podcast is we review your answers from last time. That's what I was trying to say, but it's becoming increasingly clear as this episode rolls on that I'm having some sort of neurological episode.
Yes, we should never have done this.
Yeah, what I should have done is have a nap and maybe a milkshake instead of 2 hours of podcast recording and editing.
Yes, I gave you the option. I said, we could do it tomorrow if you want.
Yeah, don't.
You said, no, I'm fine. I am completely sound.
I am fine. I don't think I said I'm completely sound, because who would say that? Not I. So, you said some things last time, and now we will discuss them. And I certainly am not using this time to stall as I go and reopen the notes from last time where I wrote down what you said.
Well, it's good that you're not doing that, because that would indicate a lack of preparation.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it? And and it certainly wouldn't be 1 to 2 minutes of stalling while I looked this up. And if you were seeing this for the first time, who do you think the murder is, and how did they do it? And you said it's not a murder; it's an accidental killing by Marta with morphine. Which, I mean, I'm on board with you at this point. I mean, that they bald-facedly told us that's what's happening.
Yes.
And he said, what happens next? Harlan will do a detailed explanation as to how Marta will get away with it, and she'll do some of the steps as he explains. We'll see her talking to Blanc after Harlan tells her what she has to say during the interview to omit certain details so that she doesn't have to lie. Yeah, that's it. And, listeners, writing down his stream of conscious nonsense in a way which can then make sense when you read it later is a task which I'm increasingly not up to.
I think the important thing to note here is that I was substantially correct about what happens next.
You did do a good. You did a good. Well done. And on that note, I think it's time for us to watch minutes 40 to 48 of Knives Out.
All right.
Yeah. We're still in a flashback. Harlan, carrying on, says to Marta that your mum is still undocumented. If you're caught, she'll be deported and your family will be broken. But you have to do exactly what I tell you.
So I guess this is, I'd say, enough of a motivation to at least get her to stop and listen to what he's saying.
Yeah. Harlan explains his plan in voiceover as we watch Marta perform it. She goes downstairs and as she leaves calls attention to the time.
Quite smoothly, I thought.
Yeah, as Harlan tells her to do it, and as she's walking by, she says, geez, it's midnight already. And Walt looks at his watch. But what fascinates me is that Walt doesn't remember Marta saying that in his testimony that we've seen earlier. He just looks at his watch and he's like, it's midnight. But he only looks at his watch because Marta walks by and says, Walt, it's midnight. That fascinated me. I really love the way this movie plays with those things where what one character remembers is different from what another character remembers.
Yeah, it's good.
He tells Marta to drive out of the gate and to avoid the security cameras, pull off the road before the carved elephant. Marta drives out, but can't remember if Harlan said before or after the elephant, his voice in her head giving her before, after, and be after for as options.
Yes, this is quite good. I like that they're playing with the narration at this point. It's pretty well done.
Yeah, we're hearing Marta's memory of Harlan's voice, so he can be saying anything. She pulls off of the road, and we see a shot from the gatehouse of her parking on the CCTV. Uh-oh. It was after the carved elephant, not be after for the carved elephant.
Indeed.
She returns via the side gate, and Harlan notes that the dogs won't bark because they know her.
Well, they got that right, at least.
Yeah, I'm sure that will not come back up at any point later in the film. The dogs bark.
We already know that the who is it that gets woken up? I can't remember.
It's Linda. Linda's being woken up by various. Linda gets woken up by people going upstairs, but Meg gets woken up by the dogs barking. Is that what you mean?
Meg gets woken up by the dogs barking. That's right. Yeah. So we know that the dogs did bark at some point during the night, and perhaps sharp watchers will have picked up on that, but not me.
I sort of did, but later. I think I mentioned this later in my notes, so I'm not going to talk about it now.
All right.
She has to get up to the third floor without being seen, so she has to climb up the side trellis and go in through the trick hall window.
And, there's a nice bit of dialogue between her and the narrator as well at this point.
what is his? It's something like you have to be kidding, and he's like, I am not. Do it.
Yeah, exactly.
um, I want to talk about the trick window.
I mean, it's just like something that an eccentric person who's a murder mystery writer might have in their clue house, right?
Yeah, it just seems like such a strange architectural folly to me. So it's an actual window on the
Yeah.
outside of the house that's a real window,
Mm.
but inside the house there's a wall in front of it, like a door, basically a big
Yeah.
movable wall. So that from outside you're like, wait, but where's that window? And from inside you're like, ooh, can't see the window unless you know the trick, which is that you can push on the wall and it opens.
I'm gonna guess that he had it put in himself at some point, just as a whim.
Oh yeah, I mean I couldn't find any more information about it or trick windows in general. Listeners, if you know anything about trick windows, why don't you write in and correct us about them, because we don't know much.
She at least seemed to know what he was talking about when he mentioned it, so they must have talked about it at some point before.
Yeah, I mean she probably knows what it is, given that she's been in the house.
Yeah.
So from the inside, the trick window is just the end of a hallway with a painting up. Did you notice the painting?
No, not really. Why?
The painting is a painting of a boy climbing in through a window.
Oh, okay.
and that wasn't made for the production. They just happened to find it, and it was so perfect they had to use it.
Fair enough.
Marta climbs the trellis, but breaks off a piece by accident.
Ugh, it's all going wrong.
Oh no. She disguises herself as Harlan by putting on his nightcap and dressing gown.
Yes, the perfect disguise, and gets a bit of cat hair, some honey, kind of fashions a mustache.
Moustache. Harlan doesn't have a moustache.
Doesn't matter.
I Harlan's 85, but like, does anyone really wear a nightcap? Like I've not heard of the existence of nightcaps out of, the children's rhyme Wee Willie Winky.
It's something that's basically relegated. It's just Scrooge, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a Victorian moneylender, you can wear a nightcap. If you're not, then I'm sorry, that ship has sailed. No one needs to wear a hat in bed. Maybe he's just got a really cold head. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like it would be uncomfortable personally.
I think this is a conceit to disguise the fact that Marta has long hair, and Harlan is basically bald.
Look, if anyone is going to wear a nightcap, it's someone like Harlan Thrombey.
That is true. Yes, I will give you that. I do like that a lot of the kind of plot holey stuff can be explained away by Harlan just being really, really eccentric, which he is.
Yeah.
Back outside of Marta's memories, she says that she doesn't think she can do this, but Harlan insists that they just have to make it airtight enough to get past the average cop.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean, he's right, because we've seen the discussion with Elliot versus Blanc earlier, that Elliot is kind of like, this is suicide, we are done here. And Blanc is like, oh, ho, 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 no, he's not French. And Blanc is like, oh, mais non, mais.
Does have an extremely French name, so I see why you got confused for a second.
Well, I watched a Poirot episode yesterday, so Benoit Blanc, famous for not being French. Walt sees Marta as Harlan and tells them to go back to bed. Originally in this scene, that was actually Anna de Armas coming down the stairs, but she was too recognizable. So the person in the dressing gown nightcap is Daniel Craig's stand-in instead. And I do like when movies play with that, like in The Thing, where the first person who gets got as the Thing was too recognizable, so they swapped him out for one of the stuntmen.
Yeah.
Who then turned out looked exactly like one of the cast. So why did they bother? Marta leaves the way she came, climbing down the trellis. All of the outside shots here of the mansion at night are shot as either day for night or dusk for night, which is them going back to composite dark sky in some of the shots.
It's pretty well done. That technology has gone far, because I didn't really notice that.
Yeah, you can tell that they've put money and time and effort into this, because you basically cannot tell that it's day for night. Unlike, do you remember that baffling FMV point and click game that came out a few years ago? I think it was called
Contradiction.
Yeah, I was thinking Compulsion, but I was like, that's
No.
not that. No, I knew it started with a C. And you spend your time dithering about this village where, as time goes on, they just sort of apply a darkening filter to the screen, and you're like, this is what it looks like when there's an eclipse. Like, it's not it's not nighttime here. You know, the sun is being blotted out slowly.
I do highly recommend a bit of Contradiction. It's you play a detective called Jenks. And,
oh God, Jenks! I forgot it was called Jenks.
And Jenks is just gloriously overacted.
Oh, yeah. It's also got some famous actors in it as well, who, well, they also are known for their overacting.
Yeah, people sure put in some performances to it, but also you feel like it knows exactly what it is as well.
Oh yeah. It's
and I do recommend it. It's very good.
Shall we play through it for the Patreon? Harlan tells Marta not to be seen, and as he does so, Marta is staring through the window at Great Nana, staring back at her. Great Nana says, "Ransom, are you back again already?"
Yeah, another line which I didn't really attach any significance to when I heard it, but obviously later turns out to be very significant.
Oh,
I'm just not very good at untangling mysteries.
You are going to get Benoit Blanc saying this line in a very auspicious way later. Kay Callan here is playing Harlan's mother, and she's actually 6 years younger than Christopher Plummer.
Yes, I like that fact, and I didn't know it. Yeah, say her name was Cake.
K, just the letter K.
Oh right, I'm pretty sure you said Cake.
I did not say Cake Callan.
Okay. Oh right, Cake Callan.
K Callan.
K Callan.
K Callan.
K Callan.
Not Cake Allen.
Allen. Right. Okay. Right.
Jesus,
okay.
Fuck it, listeners. Do you see what I have to put up with?
Look,
listeners, if you'd like to be a co-host on a movie podcast,
look, he just said that someone was called Cake Allen. What am I supposed to? How am I supposed to take that?
That's what they call me, Cake Allen.
She might have been called Cake. Actors are called.
No one is called Cake.
Actors are called weird things.
Listeners, if you know of anyone called Cake, email us and we'll do something. We'll eat a cake.
Actors called Cake.
Are you Googling it?
Yes.
You can't Google in the middle of the podcast. Come on. That's my shtick.
Okay, I've only got someone with the last name Cake. Jonathan Cake is an English actor.
Do you know, I knew it would be Jonathan Cake, and I don't know why. What's he been in? Has he been in anything I would recognize?
Let's see. He was in Noah's Ark, Empire. It was a miniseries. Desperate Housewives.
No.
As a detective, Jonathan Cake.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, like, maybe
He was in an episode of Jonathan Creek as hippie protester.
Oh, that might be where I know him from. As we have discussed, listeners, I don't know how to tie my shoelaces or open doors, but I do remember dumb shit about movies and TV shows.
And because everything comes full circle in this podcast, he's also portrayed Blackbeard.
I hope there's a listener somewhere who's keeping track of all these connections on a deduction board and going increasingly mad like that guy from Dark City.
His most common genre does seem to be kind of murder, mystery, and crime. He's like in Marple, in he was in an episode of Poirot in 2004.
Do you would it be okay if I got back to Cake Allen?
Cake Allen, right? Yeah. Okay,
can I continue talking about Cake Allen?
Yeah.
She had to go through 2 hours of makeup every day to make her look older. But worse still, she was in all of the weather backup scenes, which are where, you know, if the weather turns out to be terrible that day, instead of wasting a day of not doing anything, they'll go and film inside shots somewhere else.
Right.
And so they saved them till last, basically, and she was in all of those. So she'd have to get up every day at 4 a.m. and call them and be like, "What's the weather like today?" And they'd be like, "It's fine, go back to bed." Because otherwise she'd have to schlep all the way in and get the makeup applied. But yeah, the idea of weather backup scenes was interesting to me because, like, it's not a thing you think about, but, like, obviously, yeah, you know, every day the production is running costs money. So if you're planning to film outside, you better have some sort of backup plan for if there's torrential rain or something.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Marta runs away and drives home. Marta says that she can't lie to the police because she'll puke, and Harlan says, "Don't lie. Carefully tell fragments of the truth."
But isn't that also known as a lie of omission?
It is a lie of omission, but we see later that it can sort of get past Marta's internal censor to a degree.
Yeah.
I think if she tells like a just a straight up lie, like if she said I didn't kill him, then it would have been Puke City immediately, but her carefully chosen phrases let her stall the process.
Also, I think, we'll get to this, but I think the answer to the last question might have been a lie as well.
Yeah. Back in the real world, Blank's coin lands, and Marta says, so these are her literal things. "I took him upstairs. We played Go. He knocked the board over and Joni came up to check on them. She gave him pain medication and left him in his study. At midnight, she said goodbye to Walt and went home. Elliot asks what medication she gave him, and she says, since his injury, I've been giving him 100 milligrams IV of Toradol, an analgesic, and 3 milligrams of morphine to help him sleep, and the family knows about the medicine."
And good wording here, good use of "since his injury."
Yeah, since his injury, I've been giving him. That's that's very carefully worded. I like it.
Yeah.
She says she didn't notice anything wrong with his demeanor, and Blank thanks her and dismisses her.
Yeah, and that's the part I think might have been just a lie, because obviously his demeanor was somewhat odd towards the end of the evening. There.
Oh, absolutely. And they just to prove that this is a little bit of a lie, you can hear Marta's tummy gurgle on the soundtrack.
Oh, really? I was listening to see whether there was anything, but I didn't get it. No,
they put it in like a little tummy growl, and then Marta hurriedly walks out of the room, goes into the toilet, and throws up.
Probably a combination of all those lies of omission and also that last one.
That last one, which was an actual lie.
Yeah.
I didn't really think about it at the time, but yeah, the last one just is straight up a lie. Was his demeanor different? Yes, he's in the middle of committing suicide and explaining how to get... He's in the middle of committing suicide because of a murder and explaining how I can get away with it. That is a somewhat changed demeanor.
Yeah, it is a little out of character.
But like probably not that much for Harlan.
True.
Oh, dear. We cut to Linda in her room, rereading letters from her father and crying. Walt walks in and asks if she's okay, and she says that this whole thing feels like one of her dad's games or one of his books, and they hug. And this scene made me be like, are we, the audience, supposed to think that Harlan has somehow faked all of this? Because one of the things she says is, I keep expecting to see him just turn up again and, be like, haha, this has all been a big surprise. And, like, from the point of view of a film, you can sort of get away with that stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
But, like, the coroner would have taken the body away and things like that. So,
yeah. For me, I think it's more. It was more about. Well, we've just had this reveal about Marta, but also, as I've been saying all along, the person who was still my biggest question mark up until that point was Linda. So it's kind of good at this point to have a scene with her just behaving in what appears to be genuinely a genuine sort of sadness and shock over
sorrow and loss,
her father's death, and that kind of clears that bit up in my mind as well. So at the moment, everything apart from maybe Ransom, which we'll get back to in a moment, seems a bit kind of neatly wrapped up at this point.
Later, we see Fran talking to Marta at the wake, and she's saying that she doesn't think Harlan killed himself, while Marta slowly tunes her out. She says something like, it's like that Hallmark movie Deadly by Surprise, starring Danica McKellar as a wife who's getting poisoned little by little, and my cousin, who's a receptionist for the medical examiner's office, says that happens all the time.
Yes.
We've got some fun facts about the Hallmark movie, but they will come up later when they talk about it a second time. Marta, in her mind, sees Harlan and Ransom walk by and flashes back to the night of the party. The Thrombies are arguing about Donald Trump and immigration. This is like the most painful scene to watch in the whole movie.
Yeah, I think that they don't actually use the name, do they? And that's probably a good move because you don't want to date something too much, right?
No, exactly. So, yeah, I've got that here as a note. Trump isn't named explicitly, but they're talking about children in cages and red caps.
Right.
So, another note here. This scene, of course, plays out differently from Richard's memory of this. in this version, Richard is being an asshole and, like, ranting about immigration, and he's, like, forcing Marta to come over to talk to them. But as we remember from his memory earlier, like, he just turns to her and is like, Marta! And she's like, yay! And they all have a lovely chat.
Yeah.
Yet another thing of this movie playing with what happened versus what people remember.
Right.
This scene is actually supposed to be a homage to Agatha Christie and the way that her novels often include something which was happening concurrently in the news, like the cultural zeitgeist at the moment. Like the Poirot novels have allusions to the war that was breaking out at the time and things like that. So there's always something that she puts in that was like relevant and happening at the time. And this was an attempt to capture that for a film. Yeah.
That's cool.
This is probably the longest that Donna gets to talk in the theatrical cut of the movie, and she seems like a terrible fucking person, honestly.
That doesn't come off great from this.
No. She has opinions about Mexicans that are shit. Just the worst fucking opinions. But I have a note here which says, honestly, all of the Thrombies mostly seem like massive dicks here. So
yeah, honestly, and it's good, I think, because at this point we really need to dislike the family more, so that we keep on rooting for Marta.
Joni is furious, but Richard says that the parents of immigrants are to blame for breaking the law, and America is for Americans. Ugh, gag me. Richard calls Marta over and congratulates her for her parents doing it correctly and her hard work. And then he hands her his plate like she's part of the serving staff.
And it's a great moment because he's not even looking at her.
Yeah.
He doesn't even seem to realize that he's doing it. It's like the amount of just entitlement.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It is unbelievable. Yeah.
I didn't actually notice this the first time when we saw it in the cinema that he just because they were talking and he just hands her the plate in the corner of the screen.
Right.
But when on home video and God, it's such a knob. Richard handing her the plate as if she was a maid was actually Don's idea. I think it works really well establishing what just terrible character he is.
Mm.
The camera pans and we hear Ransom storm out of Harlan's office, the conversation ending with, "I'm warning you." Ooh, those are words, Peter.
You get a little shot of Nana there as well.
Yeah, he storms by Great Nana.
She seems to have heard a lot more than everyone else has heard.
Oh, there's a foreshadowing. I think Great Nana likes Ransom a lot. She's always seems to be kind of like looking for him wherever he is.
Right.
We cut back to the present and Fran wittering on at Marta, and Marta stumbles. And that's where we leave these 8 minutes. Marta's just gone weak at the knees from remembering what terrible employer she had.
Well, I mean, it's not the worst cut that we've had. We've kind of established a few things, and we're ready, I think, to move on to the next phase of the plot.
Yeah. So how we do this now is I do ask you some question. And here's one of them. If you were seeing this for the first time, who do you think is the murderer and how did they done it? Are you sticking with Marta and the poison?
Yes. I think I'm still staying where I was last time with that. Nothing's really convinced me otherwise at this point.
You can't be tempted by Florence on the Machine.
No, not on this occasion.
What happens next, Peter?
It's all a little bit fuzzy to me, but I feel like at this point in the film, they're going to do a little bit of exploration of the outside grounds, and there's going to be some shenanigans with the bit of thing that broke off of the trellis. And also they're going to go and try and get the video from the from where it's recorded, and Marta's going to have to try and sabotage that in some way, and also she's just going to try and sabotage footprints as well on the way back up to the house, as they are noticed by Benoit by pretending to be oblivious. I think those are the sorts of things that happen next, but I don't remember exactly in what order.
Okay, well, that sure is enough. We complained at the start about writing down your stream of consciousness stuff. It's gonna have to do. What are you, Peter, thinking about the movie so far?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not much different to last time. I like this film a lot, and we're really getting into it now. We are getting into wondering where this is all going now, because we've got a good hour of film left. I don't know actually how long is this film in total.
About 2 hours and 10 minutes.
All right, so we got a little bit over an hour of the film left. So there's still a lot of ground to cover. But aside from a couple of question marks, we don't know exactly how Ransom is involved at the moment. But up until this point, he's been such a minor character that it doesn't feel that important. It feels like you know most of the relevant facts about things now, which is an interesting place to be at this stage.
Yeah, we're a third of the way into the movie. Surely it will be easy to just wrap it up from here.
Yeah.
Or is it?
Or is it? We
Or
know it
is
isn't.
it?
We've
Yeah,
seen the
no,
film, and
we've seen
you
it.
should have seen it by now as
Yeah,
well. Yeah.
So, listeners, if you listened to all of that, well done. This wasn't our top material this time. No, it was. It was great. It was very good. It was very good. There were no problems.
Mhm.
Certainly not the episode with the heaviest editing burden of any of them so far.
Mhm.
If you have any questions or comments or anything you want to say to us, you can email us at podcast@8minutemovies.co.uk. It doesn't matter if you use the letter 8 or the number 8. They're both equally valid in my eyes. And if you like the show, what you should do is tell a friend or leave a comment wherever you listen to the show. And we hope that you liked it. We hope that you liked this episode. We hope that you liked the precedent episode and the subsequent episodes.
But we're not making any promises, all right?
I just look, it's like Star Wars, right? You know, the prequels, you know how they're not great films, but like they always end on like some fantastic action sequence or something, so that when you leave the cinema you're like, wow, that was great. And then it takes like a little while before your hindbrain kicks in. You're like,
Wait a
minute, that was I've been bamboozled.
Yeah.
So we need to really pep something up for the end. What if we sang a song? Do you know a song?
I know several.
This is probably going to take more effort than I thought. Let's improvise a song about Knives Out.
All right.
Knives Out. It's a film about a murder. Knives Out.
Just waiting for you to figure out a rhyme for murder.
Oh fuck.
Maybe absurder? Is that a word?
The plot could not be any absurder.
I think we should quit while we're behind.
Yeah. I was trying to think of a rhyme for Thromby, actually.
Yeah.
There's no good rhymes in this. Listeners, if you know a word that rhymes with Thromby, email us, I guess. Peter, where can you be found on the internet? I have to let you do your own one after you upbraided me so savagely last time.
Well, before I do, I just want to say that this was a great idea. People will definitely come away thinking that this is brilliant now that you've done that. Well done.
I tried my best.
If you want to look at my words on the internet, I can be found under the name Kestrel Pie on Twitter. That's Kestrel like the bird and pi like the irrational number. And if you'd like to find out more about Jonathan Cake, you can go to jonathancakefansite.wixsite.com/Jonathan Cake Fansite.
Wow, really?
And you can go to the website unofficial about Jonathan Cake.
And I can be found on the internet, I guess. Okay, goodbye, listeners. It's been a fine time having you here. We love you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.